What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another live stream for you guys. And today we're going to be figuring out if Tottenham have won the transfer window. I mean, winning the transfer window. I mean, you know, you look at the teams around the top six. A few teams have had good windows. A few teams haven't had good windows, which we'll go through each and every team. But without going through it on the basis, what your thoughts on the matter? Do you think that we are winning the transfer window?
Well, it's just very interesting because I look at a lot of content creators who've been going through the transfer window, and pretty much all of them have Tottenham as winning the transfer window. But then you look at Tottenham fans on I'm talking about non-Tottenham fans. You look at who are looking at the transfer window, people like James Alcott, Rory Jennings, these people. A lot of people have Tottenham as winning the transfer window. Then I go on to streams where it's Tottenham fans, content creators, and they are all complaining, and a lot of them are saying they haven't been wowed by the business and all that kind of stuff. For me, I'm delighted with how we've conducted ourselves to this window so far. I'm really happy with the level of business as well. I think Basuma, Perisic, Richarlison, Longley and Spence are all very good deals, which you can see where they fit into the team as well and the role they're going to play. I think you could argue a few, in terms of names, standout names and stuff, you could argue you could have gone for more high-profile players. But I think for me, it's very clear there's a plan for what we've been doing this window and for the role each player is going to play within the team and how they're going to fit into the squad. So the fact that we've done it early, there's also a lot more time for Bournemouth business to be done as well. I'm very happy with the state of play right now, and I think we've done tremendous business to improve the team and to improve the squad, and improve areas that we were weak as well, and improve the depth from where we were already strong. I think we've done very well to do that as well. So I'm very happy, but I'll go through maybe the narrative why people aren't happy.
Yeah, I was about to ask, you know, people are talking, well, not people, but, you know, coming into the window, two key areas were left centre-back and right wing-back. We've brought in Clement Longley, we've brought in Jed Spence. People are not entirely happy because they thought that, or they wanted marquee signings in those two positions. Jed Spence, a player that's never played Premier League football. Clement Longley, a player whose career has kind of fallen off over the last couple of years due to one reason or the other. Are you happy? Are you completely happy? If I was said to you at the beginning of the season, Clement Longley would be our centre-back and Jed Spence would be our right wing-back going into the new season, those would be our two signings. Would you have been happy with that prior to the window?
Obviously, everything depends on the other business. I think, look, you could definitely argue that we could do better than Spence and Longley in the positions that we've got. And although I think when it comes to Clement Longley, first of all, I'm so sure that that's a Conte signing. I don't think we go out and get someone like that for a position that we needed if Conte didn't really believe in his quality. And he's an experienced defender as well, and it's only on loan. So I think as much as I wanted a Bastoni, Gvardiol, even Pauto or someone like that, I think that his profile of defender, and with his experience and his quality as well, even though he hasn't been great over the last couple of seasons, his actual quality, I've always been a big fan of him. So I'm happy with him centre-back. I think he can do a very good job for us, and I think we've bought him very specifically in terms of his profile fitting what we need from that role. So from that basis, I don't think we've for example, I don't think we're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole with Clement Longley in that position. I think he has all the qualities we need for a centre-back to play the role that we need our wide centre-backs to play. So from that perspective, I am pretty happy with Clement Longley. If you asked me at the end of last season, obviously I wanted someone of maybe a higher standing right now, as you say, Bastoni or Gvardiol or something like that. I did want that, and if you would have offered me Longley at the end of last season, I probably would have said no. But you can't get everything you want all the time. That's not how the transfer window works, you know.
But if you try sometime,
you get what you need, like Longley. Exactly. That's the perfect song for it. In terms of Spence, I think there's probably more justification to be a bit more. I wouldn't say angry, but not happy with the Spence deal, only because it's pretty much confirmed that there isn't a Conte signing, and that it's the club have pushed this deal a bit more, and it's more of a project from the club and stuff like that. So from that basis, you could argue that with right wing back being a big position last season and we needed to improve, you could definitely argue that the Spence deal is one where we should have really pushed the boat out a bit more and got someone who's more experienced and is guaranteed to perform at a higher level. But in terms of profile of wing back, I think Spence definitely fits the criteria of what we need. Someone who's very good at one-on-one situations, very good at dribbling, very fast, very physical, defensively good in one-on-one situations, gets in the box quite regularly. Obviously he's young but needs to improve his final ball and stuff like that, but definitely is the right profile. And the fact we've got him in early, and also the fact that we know that as much as it's more of a club signing, Conte definitely did greenlight it. He wouldn't have. I don't think he would have greenlit it if he didn't think he can mould Spence in his image. So I think again, and it's another player that I can understand the role he's going to play, and I think I'm happy with it. And and people act like as well that just because they're not. Experienced and all these kind of things, they're there's guaranteed to be bad. You know what I mean? These players are bought all the time, where the scouting department has done their job, and then they come in and they can do a role. And I'm sure these two players can do that.
Yeah, I agree with that. We've got a super chat here from Nick, Barry, Sean, Ranjit, whatever you want to call yourself these days. Member for 6 months, people.
Big up.
And
big
he
up,
says,
Barry.
big up, gents. Happy at the moment. 2 more in, 4 out, and we are winning the league. You think the transfer business we've done is enough to catapult us to win the league? Because I certainly don't.
I mean, we could sign Mbappe and we could also not win the league. You know what I mean? That's how far the gap is, and that's how good those teams are. So I think to expect us to be winning. Look, I think it might be fair to say, look, we should be closing the gap. I think it's fair to say that maybe we should be in the conversation at some point next season. But to expect us to win the league, I mean, I think you're setting yourself up for failure.
You're negative. You're negative. No, I'm kidding. When you're looking at maybe what the other teams have done, looking what we've done, I think that in terms of how much the team and the squad has been improved, I would say we're probably winning the transfer window in that sense. I think we've probably improved the squad more than anyone else have. But I get quite frustrated about these fans that I see on YouTube, on Twitter, and stuff like that, saying, oh, we haven't made a marquee signing. Every signing has to be a marquee signing. Why are we going for this level of player? Why are we not going for that level of player? Ultimately, if transfers are signed off by Antonio Conte, that should be more than good enough for any of us. That's my general feeling towards each of our transfers. And I look at the Jed Spence deal, and everyone was getting so angry about it, being like, oh, this is a club signing. This is nothing to do with Antonio Conte. Conte doesn't want this signing. I mean, in that statement, literally it says that he said okay to the transfer, and he thinks he can be an important player for us. So I don't really know why people get so angry about these kind of transfers, and everyone wants marquee signings everywhere, marquee signings there. But when you look at our signings, Basuma for 25 million is an unbelievable piece of business. If we're signing him for 50, 60 million, would he be called a marquee signing?
Probably, yeah.
Like what is a marquee signing?
It's not exact. I agree with you. I don't think it shouldn't be determined on the price. It should be determined on the player.
Uh-huh. And then when you look at Richarlison, 60 million, maybe people say we overspent. Some people said it's about right. I think to sign a Richarlison in the position that we have done is something that we've never done before. It's big club mentality. It's something that you see Man City do on a regular basis. They look at their positions, even if they're in a position of strength in that position, they still strengthen that position. And that's exactly what we've done with Richarlison. It's exactly what we've been calling for the club to do for ages.
Depth.
Exactly. And, how many times have we said we need Harry Kane cover, we need Harry Kane competition? And then suddenly when we sign one, they're like, oh, we've overspent. It's not a marquee signing. And stuff like that. So I think the narratives around some of the players we've signed are complete craziness, in my opinion. And I think that the majority of players that we have signed this window, first of all, Antonio Conte players, they're in the mould of Antonio Conte. They're big, they're strong, they got shithouse, they work hard. So I think that we have done absolutely brilliant stuff this window. And I don't really understand anyone that can argue against that.
Well, some people might say that there's an argument, I guess, from what I've heard, we haven't done any business that we couldn't have done if we were in Europa League. That's what people say. And the fact that we got Champions League and we got that Champions League revenue and all that kind of stuff, and we got all this investment, 150 million, all that kind of stuff, should we, on that basis, be looking at players who we could only get if we were in Champions League?
Well, Clement Longley, first of all, rejected us last year when we were in Europa League. Europa Conference League. Bissouma, I think, he came in and the first thing he's talking about is his dream to play in the Champions League. Richarlison, I don't think joins us if we're in Europa League. I think, he could have gone to a Champions League team easy, starting striker for Brazil. So I don't really accept that argument because I think that the majority of the players that we bought have come. I don't think they would have come if we were in the Europa League. The majority of them anyway.
Yeah, so, I tend to agree. I think, and also, first of all, I do agree with that anyway. And second of all, I don't see why that matters. If you're getting the right signings and the right buys, why does it matter if you could have got them in? Look at Romero, we got him in Conference League. Just because we were able to get him in Conference League, does that mean that he's a bad signing now? We should have only got a player who would come in Champions League. It doesn't make sense to me. Recruitment is a funny game when it comes to fans' perspective on it because they all have these opinions about how much you spent, how old the player is, and all this kind of stuff. At the end of the day, we are buying players. If we're looking at the squad from last season, we're adding depth in crucial areas so we can maybe take the burden off Kane and Son, which we've all been crying out for. We're adding absolute quality in central midfield for Yves Bissouma, who's one of the most underrated centre-mids in the league and could really explode next season under the right conditions. We're adding Ivan Perisic from left wing-back who is going to add goals and assists, hopefully, on a regular basis from wing-back, which we really didn't have last season. We're adding a very experienced French centre-back who's really good at playing out of the back, which we needed. And we're adding a young, fresh, energetic right wing-back who hopefully will help us on the other side of the wing-back as well. So from that perspective, I can understand if maybe it was like, remember that window where we desperately needed a striker, Kane was out for 6 months and Son was out, and then everyone was desperate for a striker and we ended up with Bergwijn. And I can understand why you're unhappy with that because we needed a striker, yet we end up with a winger and we didn't solve the issues we needed. But we're actively very early on. It's very clear to me that we've pursued targets that were thought about ahead of time, and that we've very systematically gone for players that we feel could fill a role in the squad that we need filling in terms of profile, in terms of statistically they can fill these kind of roles that we're looking for. So who am I to say that we should be going for this player, we should be going for that player, when it's very clear that I think we're going for players that Conte has wanted very early on. I don't think we go for these players as aggressively and as early as we have unless we're sure that these players are right for our system and what Conte wants. Previously in other windows, it's been clear to me there's been a lack of strategy, a lack of foresight. We've gone into windows not knowing what we've want. We've ended up pushing late for deals that even those deals probably aren't even right for us and we haven't been sure on them. But now we've gone in straight away. As soon as the window's closed, we're getting Perisic, we're getting Bissouma, we're getting Richarlison, players that clearly are signed to fit a role in the squad that we need filling, and that clearly that have been identified ahead of time. So I'm very happy with it.
People like to compare this window to when we sold Elvis and bought the Beatles. Obviously, when Gareth Bale left and we bought, was it those 7 players? Who were the 7 players? Ericsson, Chiriches, was it Chadley, Capoue, all these players. Soldado, right. So all these players, right. And they like to compare this window just because of the amount of players we've brought in. But back then, You know, first of all, we're selling our biggest player and our biggest asset, and we're bringing in 7 players, which there was no real plan to it. It was just be like, oh yeah, he looks good, get
Didn't
him.
seem
He
to be,
looks
yeah.
good,
Didn't seem to be a
get
plan.
him in. There was no plan to it whatsoever. The majority, if not all of them, had no Premier League experience. All of them were kind of hopeful that, you know, they might turn good during the season or later on. Fact of the matter is, only 2 of them we seem to get a tune out of, and one of them is like half a tune, Eric Lamela, and the other one, Christian Eriksen, who you got to say was a resounding success. The rest of them were absolute flops, every single one of them. Capu, Chiriches, Soldado. When you're looking at the way we've targeted our transfers this summer, I don't know how you can compare, because it's a completely different kettle of fish. Ivan Perisic, one of the best left wing backs in Europe last season. Bissouma, Brighton's best player, and has been for the last couple of years. Richarlison, single-handedly pretty much saved Everton from the drop at the back end of last season, and he's been their best player for a few years. You're looking at Clement Lenglet, fine. A few years back, he was one of Europe's most sought-after defenders. Yeah, it has gone off the rails for him the last couple of years, fair enough. Fraser Forster was more or less number 1 for Southampton for the most part of last season. So you're looking at him as a really good backup. Jed Spence, tore Arsenal and Leicester to shreds last year. I was actually watching a highlights reel of him playing against Liverpool, coming up against Diego Jota, which he stood up to really well against him that game as well. So, and he was also in Team of the Year in the Championship last year, as of what Skippy was the previous year. So I think the way we've targeted these transfers this year, you just cannot compare it to that window. You just can't, because it's just so meticulously planned, so well thought after, and you're literally following like the mantra of Sir Alex Ferguson, where he used to make a career out of going out and targeting best players in the Premier League of other teams. And I think that's what we've done this summer. And I don't know how anyone can not be excited with the business that we've done. I really just don't.
What would you say to fans who would argue that with all the signings we've made, how much have we improved the first team for going for next season?
Well, I think Perisic improves it massively on that left-hand side. I think Bissouma as well, he comes in as probably our best midfielder. So I think those 2 already have improved it massively. When you're looking at 5 subs coming into the league next season, you're looking at Richarlison. When you're talking about going in late in a game, or when Sonny and Kane need a breast, to bring in Richarlison over someone like Steven Bergwijn or Lucas Moura, that's massively upgraded. When you're looking at Ben Davis when he needs a rest, or Eric Dyer when he needs a rest, instead of bringing in a Joe Rodon or switching over Sanchez to the left, you're bringing in a Clement Lenglet. When you're talking about playing a backup keeper in the early cup games, in the early, well, probably not in the early Europe games anymore, but in the early cup games, or when Hugo Lloris gets an injury, I think Fraser Forster's a massive upgrade on Golini. So I think every single player that we've brought in has upgraded us. Jed Spence, you can't really make an argument for him just yet. We need to see him consistently in the Premier League, so it's hard to argue there. But even so, like, I would say that Jed Spence, with the attributes that he bring, could well be an upgrade on what we've got already. So I think that when fans say that we haven't really upgraded on the first team, I think that's completely wrong, because I think that, first of all, you've got to look at it as a first 11, but you also got to look at it as a squad game, especially with 5 subs coming into it next season. So I don't really look at it as a first 11. I look at it as a squad game. But if you do want to look at it solely as a first 11, we have definitely made upgrades as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely spot on what you say. I find, very little to disagree with, because I think that fans, maybe they argue, Richarlison, you spent 60 million, but he's not better than Kane and Son. You spent money on Bissouma, and then Bentancur was so good, and Højbjerg is a good player, and we have Skip already. But we're not just adding quality to the first level, which I think we are anyway, but you're adding quality depth, which is going to be so important going for next season. So I completely agree with that. But in terms of catching up, as we've said before, it's going to be so hard to catch up City and Liverpool. No matter what we do this summer. But the fact of the matter is that what Conte is going to be looking at, City and Liverpool, and if he is going to be looking at, is he going to be left disappointed from the fact that we're going to be might be falling short.
I think without kind of reviewing their transfer windows just yet, because we'll get into that in a little bit, I think Conte will have his eyes set on Liverpool and Man City. I think that potentially this season might come a season too soon to do that. I think with a 1 year with this entire squad behind Antonio Conte, with a few extra additions maybe in January and the following summer, I think it's a possibility. But I do think maybe this season it might come a bit too soon for us.
Do you agree with the argument that if we're just getting top four next season, I'm not saying I don't know what we do in the cups, but if we're only finishing top four, that Conte will be disillusioned with that?
Nah, I don't think he'll be disillusioned. I think it all takes into account the narrative of the season and what actually happens. Like if we're close to maybe the top two, or going into latter stages of the season and we fall off a bit at the end, I think you've got to take into account the narratives of the season. It's not just a simple case of if we just get top four, is Conte going to be disillusioned? You have to know the whole story of the season before you say if he's going to be disillusioned or not.
I think as long as we're closing the gap and he feels that, I think he's going to be more hungry than ever to try and break that top two.
I think where that narrative might be true is if we're outside of the top four maybe the whole season, we make a late surge maybe towards the end, maybe he'll be thinking, maybe I can't catch the top two. But if we are, within the top four the whole season, close to Liverpool, close to City, maybe towards halfway through the season and stuff like that, and maybe we have a drop off towards the end, I think he'll think, if I make a few additions here and there, we can catch them. But if we are like some way off and just about nick top four towards the end of the season, I think that'll be an issue.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Let's just before we get into the rest, let's get into a few super chats. Let's start off with Luke Dimond, and he says, nothing against an occasional club signing. Managers come and go. If you have the option to get a good young player who more than likely will be around after the current manager, you can't pass it up. What would you say to that?
Yeah, and I agree with that. As long as you're on the same page with the manager and you're not going over his head and saying, "Look, we're signing this player. You're going to have to integrate him. Just deal with it." I don't think that's what's being done. I think we needed a right wing back. I think he fits that profile. Maybe Conte would prefer someone a bit more experienced, but it doesn't mean just because in an ideal world he would prefer that doesn't mean he's also not happy to get this right wing back who's the right profile of the player he needs anyway, and maybe he could mould him. So. I agree. I think that you can't always we can't just sign Perisic left wing back and then sign another 30-year-old at right wing back and then have a squad which isn't. Also, you have to be looking to the future as well, not just all the time looking for right now. So I have to agree with that. I think that you have to strike a balance, and I think there is a balance there with getting someone like Spence and then someone like Perisic to the other side. I think they've completely gone with Conte on the left-hand side. And they're like, okay, we're going to sign a 33-year-old for you. They wouldn't sign a 33-year-old for anyone. You know what I mean? You rarely rubber stamp a deal like that unless they were going with what Conte wants, right? That's like for sure on Conte. But then they're saying, look, we're signing a 33-year-old there, but on the right, I think we need to sign someone just a bit younger so that we can also look to the future as well and not just have someone for 1 or 2 years. And I think maybe Conte's compromised a bit on that, and I think that's fair enough. I don't think that's too much to ask, especially as you're still getting a player who's the right profile for you anyway.
And like we've said many times, in a transfer window, when you're doing a rebuild like this, there needs to be balance, right? You need to sign experienced heads. You need to sign people that have been there, done it, like a Perisic. You need to sign players that are Prem ready, like your Bissoumas, like your Richarlisons. And you need to think about the future as well. And you need to sign young, up-and-coming players.
It's a bit like when Liverpool signed Andy Robertson. It's like, do you reckon he was Klopp's... I don't know. But do you reckon he was Klopp's first choice, or would Klopp rather have signed like Marcelo or something at that time? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure he would have rather the best left back. But you know what? They scouted him. They think like this guy can really do a job for us, even though he's cheap and he's going under the radar. We think this guy is going to be very good. We signed him from a relegated Hull for 8 million, and now look at him. Sometimes scouting works, and you've got to trust
they've just done it again, right? With that Calvin Ramsey, they've bought another fullback from the Championship.
Imagine we signed Calvin or Robertson Everton, the uproar would have been, oh, 8 million, Levy's being cheap.
And do you reckon, is there uproar in the Liverpool fan base saying, oh, why have we signed this Calvin Ramsey?
Definitely not, because they've seen it work in the past. I guess
But we've seen it work in the past before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've signed the Carl Walkers, we've signed the Danny Roses, we've signed the Dele Alli. Dele Alli came from League One and he's hit the ground running straight away. He came in, fine, he fell off the rails after a few years, 3 years, 4 years maybe. But we've seen it work in the past. So I don't get why it can't work again. And when you look at Jed Spence and the attributes that he has and what he's done in the Championship, look at what Ollie Skip did in the Championship last year, by the way, and look how he came into the team and fitted in straight away. So why can't Jed Spence do exactly the same?
I would think I would agree with fans more if we were just signing like a bunch of Jed Spences. If like we were signing a Spence, a right back, and then like instead of Basuma we signed I don't know, that Johnson from Forest instead, and then at left wing back instead of signing Perisic we signed a different young left wing back. I'll be saying, okay, we should be still thinking of now despite thinking of the future, but we're not. We're signing experienced players all over the park who have proven ability. Just with Spence, we've gone for a bit of a younger guy, but that's okay. You can have a striker balance. So that's why I don't think just signing one player who we think could have a big future is a problem.
I think the reason as well people are saying that is because it's such an important position, and it's a position that we needed heavy upgrades in. It was evident to see last season. So I think that is the reason why people are actually going in so hard on Jed Spence, because we earmarked it as a priority position. We ended up getting someone from the Championship and not, pushing the boat out for someone like a Mukiele who's just gone for 12 million, albeit to PSG. Someone like, I know it's unrealistic, but a Hakimi that we could have spent about 60, 70 million on and brought in maybe the best right wing back in Europe. So I think that's people's kind of gripes with it.
Yeah, I get that, but we've also signed one of the best midfielders in the league. You know what I mean? In Basuma, we've also signed a Brazilian international up front who's been consistent for like 4 years. In Richarlison, we've spent big money on him. We've also signed one of the best wing backs in Serie A last season in Perisic. So for me, that kind of compensates for that. You can't, like, nothing can be perfect.
Yeah.
And you understand, and you got to have some sort of compromise. And I think we've struck a good balance for me.
Let's get to some more super chats. EB, big up EB. He says, agree. Brilliant window to date, but I fear we are still weak at the back. Sanchez, Dyer to make the usual mistakes and leak goals to be top 4 next season. I think still weak at the back to be top 4 next season.
I don't think we're weak at the back to be top 4. I think right now we do have enough at the back.
But surely, are we not stronger at the back than we were last season?
Logic states.
And we made top 4 last season.
And I think as well, Dyer and Davis and Sanchez they're only going to improve in my book as well. Because the more time they're playing with Conte. Not just that, the more confidence they're getting as well. Ben Davis signed a new contract. That's going to give him a lot of confidence that he's trusted and he's and that Conte really, really wants him as part of the team. And even though we're looking for a new centre-back in that position, and we got one, he still believes that Davis is a fantastic player for that position, and giving him that trust in the new contract shows that. I think we have to hope that these if we're gonna, I don't think the defence is going to be watertight enough for a title charge. I mean, it's hard to when you look at the defenders who are the teams above us, Van Dijk, Matip, Konate, Ruben Diaz, Laporte, all those defenders get into our team. That's the reality.
But I think one top defender can change that for us.
I agree with that, because all of a sudden you've got because you've got Romero, who I think can get into any team, and then so you got one, and then it's who's going to play alongside him with Dyer and Davis. I think do Dyer and Davis get into the teams above us? Probably not. So one will centre back there.
But if Lenglet, produces the goods and becomes maybe as good as he was at Sevilla in that back three, then he automatically becomes a very, 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 very good defender that we can rely on. And if we bring in one more at a top level that can fight with Dyer for that middle role, imagine Lenglet, another top centre-back in the middle, and Romero on the right. and this is assuming Lenglet gets to the heights that we think he can get to, all of a sudden you're looking at a very strong defence.
And also, I think people get a lot, and I think it's right that you look at names and you think of quality and stuff like that, and then you make judgments based on that. But you've got to remember as well, in Conte's system, I don't think you have to be as good a defender to be as effective as
Agreed.
you do in the other teams. Like, because if you play for City or Liverpool, you're playing with such
You're a
high risk,
system
such
team.
high lines. Exactly. They're playing right on the halfway line with two defenders, Van Dijk and Gomez or Konate, whoever it is, right on the halfway line. You've got the fullbacks pushing up. So those two centre-backs have to be unbelievable defenders to cope with the amount of work or the counter-attacks and make sure that they're not leaking goals. With Spurs, we're much more compact. We don't take as much risk, and you saw that in the games when we played Man City and we played Liverpool. Even though you can say our defenders maybe individually aren't as good as theirs, we defended just as well, and we were just as effective in the back line despite having inferior individuals. So I think it goes under the radar how much Conte's system and how compact our defences can cover for a lot of individual inadequacies in our back line.
And it shows you how when we made a record number of clean sheets in the season last year, that wasn't down to our defence. That wasn't down to the personnel in the offence. That was down to Conte's system.
We had the same players, apart from Romero. I know he's a big, he's a big factor, but we had pretty much, except for Romero, the same players as under Jose, and you saw the differences.
You're telling me this defence is better than when we had Jan, Toby, Rose, and Walker at the back? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And we kept more clean sheets last season. Another super chat here from the Perchy, big up Perch, and he says signings have been really good. Don't get the hate. Absolutely agree. Wolfsvi with another super chat here, or with a super chat member for 8 months, says Jed Spence with a sunglasses emoji. Let's keep going. There's quite a few to get through here. Next one is from Dark Sunji, and he says, I love how the Blues are failing transfers by getting hijacked. Also, they have players who want to leave and don't want to play for them. Tuchel's words. And yeah, Chelsea look like in a really bad spot at the moment, don't they?
They do.
Really bad spot.
It's not just about players they've let go and then all the transfers they missed out on. It's the fact that they've got Azpilicueta and Alonso right there right now who don't want to be there. That's causing problems. They're woefully compare our preparation for their preparation. Even though they signed very good players, and you could argue Koulibaly and Sterling are better signings than the signings we've made. You could argue that. I just think they've got so many holes to fill with time starting to run out. Preparation is for the new season. 2 weeks away. Are they really going to be ready in time for the new season? How much is that going to cost them? Are they going to have to sign a bunch of new signings in the last few weeks of the window? How is that going to impact their start of the season and stuff like that? Are they going to take a few weeks to bed into the season? Tuchel seems to be growing increasingly frustrated with things as well. So right now, Chelsea are a bit of a mess, and there's a lot of sorting out there to do. But it doesn't mean it can't be sorted, but it just right now, there's a lot to do for them.
I was actually having this conversation with someone the other day. Is Thomas Tuchel a fraud?
A fraud?
Yeah, is he a fraud? Or
Why?
Is he as good as a manager as everyone has been saying? Because he won the Champions League, obviously, in his first season.
Mm-hmm.
What has he done since then, apart from then? I mean, last year was a complete flop of a season, if you got to be honest with a Chelsea fan. Everyone was expecting him to challenge for the title. Has he done a good job there, Thomas Tuchel?
I think he's probably been a bit disappointing in terms of his man management and the way he's dealt with the whole Lukaku situation when you spend 100 million on him and he's supposed to be your star striker and then all falls apart. And I don't think it falls apart because Lukaku wasn't good enough. I really don't believe that. Lukaku is more than good enough to make that system work. I think that they started last season really well, and then things started to fall off a bit like January time, and then they had that whole club situation when they were sanctioned, and I think that affected the club really badly. Without that, I don't think we finished as close to them as we did. I still think they finished third though. I don't think we only finished a point behind them in the end. I think the gap would have been bigger if the whole sanction thing didn't happen. But no, I don't think he's a fraud. I think he is a very good manager. They got to the FA Cup final last season, but not all 2 seasons ago, was it now, when Tielemans scored?
2
in the
seasons
final
ago,
round
yeah.
2 seasons ago, but which they obviously lost.
That was the year they won the Champions League.
So they could have done the double, but they ended up with just the Champions League, which was a phenomenal achievement as well. I think he's been come in very difficult circumstances, Tuchel. So I think he's a very good manager. I think Chelsea's always been a historically difficult club, but he's doing what most Chelsea managers do, which is win things early on, and then after a couple of years, starts to get derailing, and maybe we're starting to see it getting derailing already. But I don't think he's a fraud, not at all. I think he is a very good manager, and the fact that he won the Champions League proves that. And he got to the final.
Who was the other Chelsea manager that won the Champions League? It was Roberto Di Matteo. It doesn't solely mean if you've won the Champions League you're an amazing manager. Yeah,
but Roberto Di Matteo also finished 6th.
Yeah, he did.
And Tuchel didn't do that.
No, he didn't.
So I think that proves he was consistent along with the Champions League. That Champions League Di Matteo one was clearly a fluke. I don't think the Chelsea one was. For me. I don't know. What do you think he's a fraud?
I don't think he's a fraud, but I don't think he's as good as people make out. Like, people were talking about him in the elite managers in the sphere of Pep Guardiola, Klopp, and Conte.
No,
I think he's a level below that.
Yeah, of course. I don't know who says he's on that level.
I've seen loads of people talking about, trying to elevate him to that status, but he's nowhere near that, in my opinion.
No, he's not. He's not on that level yet. I don't know about in the future, but yeah, I agree with that. I think Conte's a much better manager than him, 100%. Has he ever won a league title except for at PSG?
No, he didn't win one at Dortmund.
Never won at Chelsea. So,
and obviously never won one at Mainz. So.
Mainz, yeah. But you got to remember, he also got to the Champions League final with that PSG team, which wasn't the easiest thing to do. So you got to give him credit for that. They haven't got to a final otherwise.
Yeah.
Although they lost the final.
Look, I'm not saying he's a bad manager by any stretch of the imagination. I just don't get when fans put him on this pedestal alongside the greatest managers in the Premier League, because I don't think he's there.
No, but I think he is a top manager.
All right, another super chat here from Dark Sun G saying, also because we got Bissouma, I saw on the article that Brighton won't sell Cucurella to City. The bench looks really strong now based, which is great. Do you think Cucurella will hold off on selling? Brighton will hold off on selling Cucurella.
Well,
to
they seem
City?
to be sticking to their guns. 50 million or go away. So it's about City stumping up the cash. Is he worth 50 million? For me, I don't see him being worth 50 million right now. Although you put him in City and maybe he becomes a 50 million wing back.
I've been saying this about the money. Like, you're only worth as much as a team is willing to pay for you. You know what I mean? Like, people are saying that Richarlison isn't worth 60 million, but I think to us he could be worth 60 million because
the role he plays.
With the role he plays in the team, and I think he can be like our new Diego Jota style player, where he comes in and scores a lot of goals. So I think that 60 million, he's probably worth it for us. Cucurella for Man City, who's their left backs at the moment?
Well, Zinchenko's gone. Mendy's obviously Mendy's being Mendy. Cancelo plays there, but you probably want him on the right a bit more. So they need one. Yeah,
exactly. So maybe to Man City, with the wealth they have, maybe he is worth 50 million to them.
Probably, if you're that confident that he's the right player for you. You have to say he is. But I just don't think he's to Spurs, he wouldn't be worth 50 million.
So I don't think like each specific player has a specific value. I genuinely believe that you're only worth as much as a team is willing to pay for you, and how much a team is willing to sell you for, and that's how much a player's valued it. And not many people look at that when you're talking about player values. Yeah,
because you got to make a judgment. Is this player worth the money you're paying for him? Like, is he going to do enough for you on the pitch to justify the money you're paying? Now, City's a bit different because they don't think about money in the same way I think most other teams think about money. But I do think that players definitely do have a value, which obviously is different for each club. But I do think you wouldn't want to pay like 40 million for like Welbeck or something, you know what I mean? Because he's not going to get you enough goals. Even though if you need a sub striker, like he could be a decent job for you, like you wouldn't want to pay 40 million because it's not going to justify it. But you might want to pay 5 million because maybe that would justify it. So I don't know. I think you have a point, but when I think clubs like City and PSG, they've just skewed that whole market and it becomes complicated.
Yeah, exactly. Another super chat here. Jeremy Smith, member for 23 months. Big up. He says, if this is it, what was the point in getting top 4?
To get Champions League football so that we have more things to fight for next season, so we're more ambitious, and so that we also have a deeper squad for Champions League football for next season. I mean, we have going to have European nights back at White Hart Lane, and I also think a few players wouldn't have come if we didn't get Champions League.
We're literally building a squad that can fight on all fronts on a very good level. When you go through our squad right now, if the transfer window finishes right now, in goal, Hugo Lloris or Fraser Forster, left wing back Perisic or Sessegnon, right wing back, you got a host of names there now. You got Jed Spence, Emerson Royale, Lucas Moura, Matt Doherty. Right centre back, you got Sanchez and Romero, and I don't care what anyone thinks about Sanchez. I think he's a very good player to have as a backup. Left centre back, you got Davies and Longley. Central centre back, you've got Eric Dyer and no one really at the moment, which is something that we need to look at for sure. In the midfield, you've got Bissouma, Højbjerg, Skip, and Bentancur, which are 4 very, very good midfielders. You're looking at our left number 10. You're looking at Sonny and Richarlison. You're looking at up front, you've got Kane and Richarlison. And you're looking on the right wing, on the right number 10, you've got Lucas Moura and you've got Kulusevski. So I'm saying, yes, there are a couple of positions there where we don't have actually 2 in each position, like the central centre-back, maybe the striker and left wing-back, you're looking at one more.
But you've got the nucleus of a squad.
You've got a nucleus of a very, very strong squad there. And I don't think you can look at other teams in the Premier League, barring Man City, where you're saying that you've got 2 players in most positions there.
Yeah, I have to agree. So, I mean, top 4 was crucial for me. It wasn't also just about getting the right players, but I think it was also about what top 4 what it said about the project, what it said about Conte, his ability to manage the team, and the confidence of the players, and also what it means for players like Kane and Son to be back in the Champions League. I think that makes a massive difference to them. So it's not all just about we're in Champions League now, so we should only be getting this certain type of player. It's like, no, you still got to have smart recruitment, but it's a status thing, and it's about confidence in the club and the project. I think Champions League's a massive thing for that. Massive.
Next up is Dark Sun G again, and he says MLB owner for Blues is killing them. Now it's finally time to beat them at Stamford Bridge. We have a firing Son, Kane, Kulu, Kuti, Ben and Bissouma, Richarlison, Jeds and Perisic. And I was actually also saying this to someone last night. It's probably the most perfect time to play Chelsea away. Second game of the season.
Yeah. I mean, the way they're at the moment.
We have to beat them. We 100%.
Have to. You have to go there and go. I think we have to just go at them, because I think at the moment they're very shaky. I mean, who knows what players they'll have in the next by the time we play them, but I think they're just a bit. They're not all pulling in the same direction like we are. I think that's the difference. It's not necessarily about the playing stuff. I think if you compare our squad to their squad, I don't think there's a massive difference right now. I mean, I still think we're probably a bit better, but I don't think there's a massive difference. But it's just all about the mentality of the players right now. The manager, all sing from the same hymn sheet. It's like, if you look at Tottenham right now, everyone's together. Everyone's happy. Conte's delighted with the business, and he's got a pre-season with all his signings and the training sessions and everything. Kane and Son are linking up as ever in pre-season. Everyone seems to be friends and want to do something special. At Chelsea, everything's just fractured at the moment, and it's not all about things that are on paper all the time. It's all, you can also have to be the atmosphere around the club and people with own agendas and things like that. And at the moment, Chelsea just don't seem to be a happy place right now.
And if your manager's that upset and that angry 2 weeks before the start of the season, you know you're in for a tough time, or in for a tough start to the season anyway.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean they can't get it back.
Of course.
But I think it might take, it could take till October, November time for that to happen.
Yeah, well, all I've got to say is Barcelona, keep doing your thing.
Yeah, exactly. Loving that.
Yin Surgeon with the super chat saying, not only did we bring in starting 11 players, but depth and confidently being able to give players rest drastically improves the starting 11 as well. And I completely agree with that as well.
How many times have we had Kane or Son in the team, and they just look just drained, and they look sometimes like they could have done with the rest today, but because of our lack of depth, we're just forced to play them. And Conte used to say, "Oh, I look at my team, and then I look at the bench, and I look back on the team again because there's no options." And I think that's a great point. I think that also goes under the radar. The fact that we have Kane and Son already, it's like we have two world-class forwards who would get into any team. So when we sign a player up front, it doesn't have to be a player who's going to start or be a superstar. We need someone who's going to supplement two world-class forwards and help take the burden off them. It's not about replacing them or upgrading them or anything like that. It's just about supplementing them. And I think we've done that perfectly in Richarlison.
Absolutely. Another super chat here from Keith D. Big up, Keith. He says, it's not about beating City and Liverpool. We didn't lose to either of them last year. It's about beating all the other teams for which we need more quality squad depth, which is what the club is now doing. Come on, you Spurs. In terms of the Liverpool City games last season, yeah, we didn't lose to them, but that doesn't mean we're not going to lose to them this season. They're two top quality sides.
Correct.
First and foremost. So I completely agree in what you're saying, that what the signings that we've made, of course, are going to help us be more consistent against the other teams. And that's exactly what we need. And I think if we're more consistent against the other teams, we're going to be the best of the rest, at minimum.
Yeah, and I think that consistency started also coming towards us at the end of last season. Although we did have one game a week, so it's a bit of a different dynamic. But then again, we now have a deeper squad, so hopefully we can cope with multiple games per week. But I think that. I think it's a good point. I think as long as we're more consistent against the other sides, I think we've shown already that the way we play against the top sides can bring very, very good results. And that could very well set us up for a very strong season next season.
Apparently I missed two, but I can't...
Yeah, they're here.
Do you want to read those ones out? Because I don't have them on my screen anymore.
Faz Radfar. He says, with our current squad, what is our minimum expectation?
For me, it's got a minimum expectation. It's got to be third with the way Chelsea are shaping up at the moment. So, in terms of the outlook of the whole season, minimum is third place. Hopefully with a trophy. But I don't think you can expect to win a trophy, a domestic trophy. You can't expect that because there are just such, you got to fight against Liverpool and Man City. So I want to win a trophy, but I think it's very hard to expect to win a trophy. But what I do expect is top three and to go deep into the Champions League. That's what my expectations are.
Yeah, I would say you probably want at least a quarterfinal. I want Conte to show that we can be consistent in both competitions, because I think that's always a narrative held against him, and I want him to start to dispel that. And I think
he's never won a Champions League knockout game.
Yeah, I think he did once at Juve, but I think since then
it's crazy, no?
Yeah, it's been a bit nuts. But at Inter, I don't think he made it. I don't think he made out the group stages both times.
Yeah, he got to the Europa League final that year,
and then the other season he finished bottom
of the group. Yeah,
and although they did go on to win the league, at Chelsea they lost to Barcelona one year. And the other year they weren't in Europe at all. So you only got one crack at it, really. And then at Juve, I think one season he got to the quarters, and then the rest, it's he got out in either the group stage or last 16. So that's something he needs to improve. So I want to see him get to at least the quarterfinals, and third. I think that would be, and as long as I want it to be third, but as long as we're closing the gap on City and Liverpool, fourth would be acceptable as long as that gap is closed significantly.
Agreed. Yeah. Go on. What's the next one?
And Ribsy.
Got a bit of issue bringing them up on screen again. Oh, it's okay.
We got Ribsy85. He says, another month down, almost back to football. Come on, you Spurs. I can't imagine a day without listening to Ben and Sim talking footy.
Come on
you lads. Enjoy Israel. Thanks a lot, Ribsy, mate. Look. I'm getting so excited for this season. Honestly, I haven't been this excited for so long. Even when we're not doing well, I still get excited for the new season. I think it's natural. But with everything going for us so far, the signings we've made, Conte at the helm, Kane and Son as sharp and as good as ever, I'm super excited for the start of the season. I can't wait to see what that first game is going to bring.
Absolutely, and I'm very excited for this weekend as well. Obviously, we fly out on Thursday. Another super chat here from Philo123.
Yeah.
We haven't got time to sign upcoming players right now. We need proven quality to win trophies in the near future. Great show as always, lads.
I think there's always time to sign up and coming players. I don't think you ever neglect that just because. Yeah, look, you want the good in the short term, and I think we've addressed the short term, but you also want players that in the long term can also be with the team for a long time. And I think that one or two of them in the squad, in the team, is not a bad thing. I really don't think that. So I don't mind the fact that we're signing someone like Spence, because everywhere else on the pitch you get experience and you've got proven talent pretty much everywhere. So it's a balance.
Great, exactly. Craig Murdoch with the super chat saying, we forget we also made Romero permanent. 7 signings in and around the first 11, 9 including Kulu and Bentancur. Our first 11 beat City twice. It's depth we needed. Again, absolutely spot on in my opinion.
I completely agree with that. I think that that was the biggest thing lacking last season, was the depth in the squad, and we've improved that. And as one of the other super chats said before, when you improve the depth, you also improve the starting 11 because they get more time to rest and stuff like that, and then they're going to have more energy when you need them, and that helps massively.
Absolutely. Tony Rodriguez with the super chat, but no comments, so thank you very much for that. We get a few more, I think.
Shepster boy.
Yeah, go and read that one out.
Says, "G'day lads, did y'all watch Arsenal beat Chelsea?"
Yeah, I watched the first half, to be honest. Fell asleep at half time, but Chelsea looked absolutely terrible. They really did look terrible, and Arsenal did look good.
Yeah, I guess let's talk about Arsenal for a bit then, because obviously they've made Jesus, Zinchenko, Fabio Vieira.
They've spent nearly 120 million.
They're the tops. They're the top spenders, I think, so far in this window.
I think we are.
I think they're above us.
Are they above us?
I think so.
Okay.
I believe so. Unless you include Romero in that, I think they're above us.
All right. So Arsenal top spenders, and they were last window as well.
So, are they a threat to us, do you think?
I don't think so. I mean, when you're looking at their window, Jesus, really good signing. Zinchenko, good signing. Fabio Vieira, very much an unknown quantity. Matt Turner, backup keeper, unknown quantity. And Marquinhos is one for the future, who's probably not going to see much game time this year. I think that when you look at our business, we've strengthened so much more. And I believe that we were that much further ahead of them last year anyway, even though the table doesn't suggest that, and we only finished, 2 points above them or something like that. I think that because we had Nuno for the first half of the season, we hardly had a shot on goal first half of the season.
Kane took 19 games pretty much.
Exactly. Kane took 6 months off. You saw the gap in quality, in my opinion, towards the end of the season. You saw it. And I think that gap only gets wider with our transfer window and their transfer window. Yes, they have signed 2 good players, but I think the signings that we have made catapults us much further ahead of them.
Would you say that they've improved their starting 11 more than we've improved ours?
No, not at all. I think they've brought in what's his name?
Because Jesus, from Lacazette to Jesus, is a pretty big jump.
It's a massive jump. Yeah, it is a massive jump. But also Perisic from Sessegnon or Reguilon is a massive jump. Bissouma from any of our midfielders is a jump. All right, fine. Might not be as big of a jump as Jesus, but I think we've brought in 2 players that automatically increases our first 11. Also, Clement Longley could also be a big jump into what we had last season. They've brought in Jesus, which is a massive...
And they have Saliba, you got to remember as well.
Saliba is a massive... Well, yeah, first of all, Jesus is a massive jump. Saliba, we don't know if it's going to be a massive jump or not. Zinchenko, I think, improves them, but I don't think it's a massive jump. I think Kieran Tierney is a very good player anyway.
Yeah, the problem with Zinchenko is he a much better left-back than Tierney? Debatable. Is he a much better centre-mid than Xhaka? Debatable.
But what...
So
I think he's a better centre-mid than Xhaka, first and foremost, but I think what it does for them... for the left-back situation, it means that there's not that much of a drop-off in quality when Tierney's injured, and he's injured a lot. So I think that is a plus for them.
The thing with Zinchenko in midfield is, like, I know City have, like, it's not easy to get into their midfield, the amount of centre mids they have. But if he was that good in centre mid that he could propel Arsenal to a new level, surely he would have got more game time in centre mid for City if he was that good. You know what I mean?
Yes and no. I mean, City have had some top midfielders.
No, I understand
over the
that.
past couple of years.
I understand that, but if you're expecting Zinchenko to be a midfielder that propels Arsenal to a new level in midfield, like he barely played in midfield at all for City. I'm talking like maybe under 5 games a season there.
But I also
think
think that's because they were very short at left back.
Yeah, that's also true.
They were very short at left back, Man City, and obviously what happened with Mendy happened to Mendy. They've had João Cancelo who plays both sides, but they've been very short at left back, and I think that's another reason why he's played the majority of the time at left back. And also, you've got to look at the level of the two clubs. It takes a lot more to transform Arsenal than it does to transform Man City.
Yes, but I'm not asking him to transform Man City.
You're not asking him to transform Man
saying-
City. You're asking him to plug holes at Man City.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a bit like with Jesus as well. It's like, I think Jesus is a good player, and I think he'll do well for Arsenal. I really do. But if they really, it's like if they think he's going to be the player to really take them onto the next level, like why was he not a consistent fixture for Man City when they didn't have a striker? Why was that not the case? What was it holding him back at City?
Yeah, but taking Arsenal to the next level and starting for Man City on a regular basis are two different kettle of fishes. You're talking about a team that haven't qualified for the Champions League for how many years now?
Since 2017.
Exactly. You know, you're talking a long
5
time.
years.
And the
6
past
years,
in the past 3 years, they finished in the top 7 once.
Yeah.
So you're
I guess my point is that I don't think these, as much as they might improve them, I just don't see these signings taking them to a level to compete with us right now.
I completely agree with that. But moving Arsenal onto a new level, I think is them. I think their ceiling next season is 4th. Arsenal, in my opinion. Our ceiling can be anywhere up to 2nd, in my opinion.
So are we saying that we're more than one level above Arsenal?
Well, it depends how you define one level. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. But no, when it comes to Jesus, like everyone talks about him, Jesus being a good signing, but let's be honest, he's just nowhere near Harry Kane, and that's the reality.
Yeah, but Arsenal fans want to compare him to Richarlison.
Exactly, more convenient.
If you want to compare him to Richarlison, fair enough, but you got to compare where they are in the levels of the squad. And unfortunately for them, Jesus for them is Kane for us. Nketiah for them is Richarlison for us.
Exactly.
And that's the levels of the squads right now.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
But let's look at some more super chats, actually. Scorpions fans for life saying, big up, lads. Great show. Looking forward to the new season. It appears to be a great atmosphere at the club. Night and day to last summer. And it's so true. I mean, cast your mind back to last summer. No one was excited for the season. Everyone was like, oh, we've just gotten this new manager, Nuno. We're making these crazy signings like Brian Hill for 25 million plus Lamella. Transfer strategies seemed all over the place last summer. Nobody knew.
Not just transfer, manager strategy.
Everything.
You know what I mean?
75 days to hire
Exactly.
Nuno and
Everything
whatever.
was a mess.
The club was just in complete disarray on the back of trying to get into the Super League and in COVID times and everything like that. It was just, and now you're looking at things. Antonio Conte as manager, tactical precision in the transfer window, bringing in best players from other Premier League teams, bringing Ivan Perisic and players like that, you know. The club is in night and day. It's night and day, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I think Conte's just changed everything. I really believe it's all down to that one decision to bring him in back in November. Now we're in a completely different situation with everything surrounding the club. And
where would it be right now if Conte came in last summer instead of Nuno?
I think we'll probably be in a fairly similar situation, although we probably would have finished 3rd instead of 4th, I would say. But I think maybe we could have gone with a better cup run potentially.
Yeah, but you got to think about it.
Probably would have been in the conference league latter stages.
You got to think about it like this as well. Like, if Conte would have come in the summer, we would have had a pre-season with Conte, and we probably would have had a much different transfer window as well.
Yeah, it's also true. It's also true, but with all that, look, we probably would have been ahead of schedule than we are now. That's for sure. But in terms of what we would have done last season, I don't think we would have done a title challenge last season with Conte came a bit earlier. I do think it would have been fairly similar. I just think it would have been a bit better. I think we probably would have finished third. Look, we might have been able to win a trophy if he came in earlier. That's what I would say. I think there would have been a much bigger chance of that. I don't think we go out to like Middlesbrough or something if he comes in a bit earlier. And I think we might even have a good chance of winning the Conference League.
I think we lose to Mura.
I don't think we'll lose to Mura if he comes in
Conte
earlier.
was the manager when we
I know, but he was so early on. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think that unfortunately that time was wasted, and we have to live with that. But we're in a position now where we can just look forward, and that's a great thing.
Sam D. Blith with the super chat says, sign Zaniolo and no centre-back, or sign a centre-back but not a cam. What would your opinion on that be?
I think if I was to choose one, I think I would choose a centre-back. Just because the individual quality could do with a bit of an improvement, although the system does help with that. A cam is important for me. I think we could really use one because we don't have that kind of profile of player, but we've seen what Conte's system can do even without a cam, and it's very, very impressive. So I would work more on making Conte's system work to the best of its ability than I would. Then I think secondary comes alternatives, if you know what I mean, which a cam would be an alternative to his first choice system, I think.
I agree completely. Jack Wandre Jones says, I love pretending to work while listening to you two. Love that. Absolutely love that.
Brilliant stuff.
Young Puddy with a brand new member. So welcome to the family, Mr. Young Puddy.
Welcome, Young Puddy.
Bobby Stewart says, can you see us being more consistent against the lower teams? Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, we have to be. We don't bring in these players and not become more consistent against the lower teams, surely.
Yeah. Although the lower teams might also be improving in their own right, I'd like to think that we're going to be a lot more. I mean, defensively, we were always strong, even under Conte against the lower teams. There was more lack of chance creation and stuff like that, but hopefully more quality, and also maybe giving them less control. Hopefully, that should make us more consistent. We'll have to wait and see.
Ricardo Suarez with the super chat says, big up from Savannah. The spending this summer comes with a plan, and that plan fits Conte's vision. Negativity around it is weird. And I get it. I mean, I don't understand people's negativity around the transfer window. We've literally had the best transfer window we've had in our lifetime so far.
Yeah, I think we've done. It's been
is it the people just find a reason just to be negative because they just want to argue with people at some time?
Spurs fans love to be negative. We all know that. We love something to moan about. That's always been true about Spurs fans, I gather. So I just think, I look, and also people got to remember it's not over yet. We got 6 weeks still, or 5 weeks still, of the window. So, who knows what more deals we could do. There's just been apparently an update from Ali Gold. He's tweeted saying, Spurs are yet to offer Harry Kane a new contract, but the offer is expected to come and he is open to talks. Well, I'm hoping that he's open and maybe we can convince him, because that'll be a brilliant thing if we can get him to sign a contract this summer. That'll be a massive game changer.
What would you rather, if you could only sign... or not if you can only sign, but what would you rather, Conte to sign a new deal now or Kane to sign a new deal now? What do you think is more important for the club?
I would say Conte.
Yeah.
Sign a new deal.
I would say Conte, and the reason I'd say Conte is because I think if Conte signs, Harry Kane probably knocks on his door begging to sign a new contract.
Yeah, exactly.
So
It probably lead to both signing anyway. And look, if Kane leaves, we probably just knock Inter's door down for Martinez, and there you go, have a replacement.
Yeah. But is he on the same level? Probably not.
Probably not now, he's not, but who knows, maybe in the future. Look how he's still quite young. He's 25, like 24, 25. He's got a lot of years ahead of him. That'd be very good.
Can we catch Liverpool this season?
It's a difficult
Is
one.
there a possibility that we can catch
I think there's a
Liverpool?
possibility because if Nunes takes a while to settle in, and then all of a sudden that goal, that source of goals is not as easy to come by as it was with Mane and stuff like that, and maybe there's a bit there's a bit of drop off in performance. I think it's very possible that they could potentially be catchable. I think they're definitely going to be more catchable than Man City, who with Haaland and with Phillips have really reinforced their squad to a really good standard. But it's still going to be extremely hard, and who knows if they're going to do any more business right now in the window, Liverpool. And if they
Klopp
do,
says no.
he says no more business. Then who's their midfield option? So Fabinho, Thiago, Keita, Henderson is still the same midfield options.
Yeah, everything's the same. They signed. Who have they signed? They signed Nunes. They've signed Calvin, whatever his name is, Ramsey. And who else have they signed? Is that it?
Can't
all
think of
they've
anyone
signed?
else. Yeah, I think you're right. Nunes, Calvin, Ramsey. Is that it?
And Carvalho from Fulham.
Oh yeah, Fabio Carvalho, who can play in the front three.
That's it. And they've got rid of Sadio Mane, who's been very central to everything they've been doing since Klopp has come in.
I've got a feeling Nunes might take a bit of time to bed in as well.
Yeah.
But then again, once he gets bedded in, he might be firing.
But can we get a head start on them then?
That's the thing. We might be able to, although I would like to say we can, but we do have very tough fixtures early on. That's the thing. The thing is, if we can get good results,
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
If
go on.
even if we just don't lose, even if we get a bunch of draws in those fixtures, that could be incredible.
By the time October finishes, we would have played Arsenal away, Chelsea away, United away, City away.
Yeah.
I
think West Ham away as well.
West Ham away as well. I mean, we got Liverpool a bit later after the World Cup. But after the World Cup, that's the only hard away game or the top 6 away game that we've got left.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can, have a very strong start to the season, we could be in for a big, big one this year.
If we're still in the conversation by the time the World Cup comes around, then I think we're in a very, very strong position.
Agreed. All right, let's keep going with the super chat. Air Ace says, it's not crazy to think that we can win the league. I think we finish at least third and get 1 to 2 trophies. Kane will get 25, Son will get 20, Kulu will get 10, Richarlison will get 10, and 20 clean sheets as well. So he's not asking for much, is he?
No, not much. But 20 clean sheets, 4 more than last season.
Yeah.
Can we do that? Why not?
I don't see why not.
Why not?
I don't see why not. But 20 clean sheets in a season is crazy numbers.
It's a lot. It's over half your games.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But we did. How did we get 16 last season?
I don't know.
It's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah. But what do you think he says when he says about the goal tallies? Kane 25, Son 20, Kulu 10, and Richarlison 10.
Is this just in the league?
I'm guessing so. I'm not sure.
I think that's achievable.
You're talking about 65 goals just from 4 players.
I think that's. I mean, 45 goals between Kane and Son is a lot, but I think Kulu 10, Richie 10. I think that's possible. I think, and Kane 25 is just about if Son can repeat what he did last season and get over 20, which is going to be which is probably the biggest ask out of all of that. But I think he can. Why not?
I agree. Dark Sun G with the super chat saying, this is the difference between Hitchin and Paratici. Under Jose, we signed Rodon, Reggie, Bale, Højbjerg, Hart, and Doherty.
And Vinicius.
Yeah, and Vinicius. But, I think that, to be fair to Steve Hitchin and Jose Mourinho, I actually think that we would have had a much better window that year if it wasn't for the pandemic and stuff like that.
Yeah, it forced us to maybe in a different market, potentially.
I actually think the plan was to back Jose, but we were forced into a hole where we couldn't have done it to the full extent that we wanted to.
Yeah. And led to I don't think Doherty was planned for. I think it was just an opportunity that came around.
And Reguilon was as well, we know that.
Yeah, we know that he was an opportunity as well. Bale probably as well. I don't think, apart from Højbjerg, I don't think any of those signings were planned for.
Probably, yeah. All right, so have Spurs won are Spurs winning the transfer window?
I would say out of the top 6, have we improved our squad the most out of the top 6?
Yes, I think we have.
From where we were last season.
I think we have, although Man City getting Haaland in, getting Calvin Phillips
in. They have
in.
let go of Sterling.
They have let go of Sterling,
We
but
haven't
I
let
think
go of any. Who have we let go of?
Haaland is
Bergwijn.
a sure thing, in my opinion. There's no chance Haaland flops.
I don't think he
There's
flops.
No chance.
But I do think there's a chance that his first season isn't an explosion?
I don't know, man.
I think there's a chance. I'm not. When I say isn't an explosion, like there's a chance, like he gets
Doesn't
like
get 30 goals.
Yeah, basically.
So if he gets 25, is that not a resounding success?
No, 20. Like I'm saying, it's possible he could get like he could be like he could score like 18, 19, 20 goals or something, and then
Even if he
next
scores
season,
20 goals, that's more than enough for them to smash the league.
Yes and no, because you got to remember the way they're changing the way they play. So last season they had. And in previous seasons gone by, they've had Sterling and Sane, right? Two real speedsters in the front line. They're changing it a bit now, where they're going to have Grealish playing a lot more. And Foden. They're going to have there's going to be a lot more creating for the front player, right? And it's going to. I think it might take a. I'm not saying it's going to be a massive adjustment, but it's going to be a smaller adjustment for the team, and it might take a bit of time to just get it perfect. And I'm sure it will still be good from the start, from the get-go, but will it be perfect straight away? There is a slight doubt whether it will be, but I mean, it's only a slight. But I think you're probably right. I mean, it's very little chance that he doesn't smash it.
At the end of the day, they're all absolutely top-quality players with a top-quality manager.
Because the reason I'm saying is because Haaland's build-up play isn't the best. It's not terrible, but it's not like he's not his link-up play isn't like what they've been used to in their false nine positions with those players. So it's going to take a bit of getting used to from that point of view. But once they get going, I'm sure there's going to be no stopping them.
This is actually a good point from Doc Sundry. He says, I feel Haaland will be out injured for half the season. And he has got actually injury problems. He was injured for quite a fair bit of the season last year for Dortmund.
Yeah, but they've shown they can play with the false nine, though, haven't they? That's the thing.
Yeah,
but it could impact them if they're adjusting their way and then Haaland's out.
Brand new member Ryan, the Spurs fans are welcome to the family, my friend. Welcome to the family. And another person who's part of the family, has been part of the family for a long time. I think it's time to bring on some guests and an important part of the family, and that is Mr. I can see him bracing himself to come on. I can see him bracing himself. 1 second. Brian Daigle, everyone.
Hey.
How you doing, boys?
Brian.
How's it going, Daigle? You all right?
I am fantastic, boys. How are you?
Yeah, very good. We've just spent an hour and a half, nearly the best part of an hour and a half, seeing if we can convince people that Spurs are winning the transfer window. What would you say to that?
So first of all, I have to say, and I've been watching from the beginning, it has been a phenomenal show, guys. So well done. But there's two things that really, I don't know why I said two and put four fingers up.
You're getting your fingers ready. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. There's two things that really stood out to me, what you said. First of all, what Simeon said about Liverpool signing a youngster and no one really batting an eyelid. And I agree with you. But what I think that is because, Sim, is they will buy the odd youngster here and there, but they back it up by going and sign a Van Dijk when they need a big central defender, and Alisson when they need a big goalkeeper, a Jota, Luis Diaz. They buy diamonds and the occasional lump of coal, whereas we've been known to buy lumps of coals and the occasional diamonds. So that's where I think Liverpool fans are kind of like when they bring in a youngster, and you look what they've done with their youngsters, Gerrard, Fowler, Owen, and others. So that's a key point in that part. But also what you said, Ben, about marquee signings. I don't know how anyone cannot call Perisic a marquee signing. To me, a marquee signing doesn't just necessarily mean the amount of money we spend on them. This guy comes in that's been a World Cup finalist, won a Champions League, won leagues in other countries. For me, he is our marquee signing. I mean, hopefully there's another one coming. But I think a lot of people now, with the way football is run today, marquee signings mean spending the big bucks when you don't have to. Perisic is by far a superb and a big marquee signing to me.
So was Nicola Pepe a marquee signing for Arsenal? Is that what we're saying?
Exactly. Exactly. Was Ndombele a marquee signing? Look how that worked.
Brian,
Exactly.
back to your point about what you were saying about the youngsters and stuff, and signing lumps of coal and some diamonds. Would you not say? But my point was, I agree. I kind of agree with your point. I actually agree with your point. But would you not say this summer we have signed a bunch of diamonds and one lump of coal in Spence?
I said when this money came in that there was bound to be one. There was bound to be one, and you can't get away from it. Listen, if you're spending this money, if a youngster comes up, like you said, and I believe he's going to be a good player. I've always said that. I didn't think he would be ready for this season, but I think the season after and the season and going forward, he could turn out to be an England right back, or at least in contention to be in the squad. So I'm fully on board with this Spence signing. I just, like I said, when I spoke to you before, Simeon, as well, I'd rather we would have signed a lump of coal in a position that we had big covering. Like if we'd signed a lump of coal in the midfield position, the centre of midfield, I'd be like, yeah, do you know what? We got 4 players there right now that are superb as cover and can do it. Can Spence do it at right wing back for Tottenham? That's up to debate. Do I think he will be able to? Yes. Do I think he'll be able to do it this season? I'm not sold on that, but he has the potential to do it. But you always knew, bless you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I always knew that there were going to be signings like this, and I'm all for signing the youngsters as long as we get, like you said, diamonds. And what we have done, without a doubt, is strengthen this squad. There is absolutely no doubt. We did a straight out of Conte, and one of the answers he said in the post-game press conference after Rangers was last season I could only rely on 12 or 13 out of the 25-man squad. But when I go into this season, I want to be able to rely on 17, 18, 19, and so on. And that's what he's doing. He's built in those players that we've brought in. Every single one of them have added quality, have added strength in depth, and have allowed him to have more people to trust.
What would you say to people coming into this window that we needed big signings in the centre-back positions, needed big signings in the right wing-back position, getting Spence and Lenglet in there? Would you say that's good enough, or did you expect more coming into the window?
I must admit, in the centre-backs, I really wanted, I will say marquee as in the value. I really wanted a Bastoni, a Bremer, of De Vrij, again, a guy that would be marquee, a guy that has done it all, won it all. I really did want a name in. I really did want a name in that position. I think it's somewhere we had to strengthen and get a big player. As I was saying to you on the fan show after Rangers, for me, what we've done has been brilliant. But I did want to see that standout player that didn't make us just go, oh my God, here we go. That made the rest of the Premier League stand up and go, oh my God. And I think if we had signed one of them in the centre backs, that's where I would have wanted it to be, in that position, like the oh my God, whether it be like the players I just mentioned. So I would like to see, if we do have something coming, a big name coming in that defence. Lenglet, I think, as we looked at, coming in on loan, and he's played in a back three and Conte's wanted him before, makes total sense. Bastoni was the one we wanted. He ain't coming. There's been links with Gvardiol and all that. Maybe they're available next summer. They've said to their club, okay, we're not going this summer, but they might be available next summer. So it's like, do you know what? We can bring in Lenglet, who played very well in a back three for Sevilla on the left-hand side. I mean, you just had to see that pass to Richarlison when he came on. That out ball, which I say we've missed since Toby, that could be a huge string to our bow. So it's a smart signing by the club.
Yeah, I completely agree. And if I was to ask you, you can only have one more signing from now until the end of the season, would it be an attacking midfielder or would it be a centre-back?
I think it'd be a centre-back. I'm huge on... We've had this discussion before, Ben and Sim, about Maddison and how I don't think he would come, but I would love him at the club. But I think we all know and we all state it that Conte's creativity comes from his wing-backs. So he doesn't always play with this creative midfielder. Do I think if Maddison came, he would not just be a bit part, he would have quite a bit to play in the four competitions? Yes, I do. Maybe not a starter in most games, but he'd certainly have a contribution in most of the games. But I think if we can get a centre-back to put even more pressure on Dyer and obviously go in above him, that will be crucial. I think that is more crucial than the attacking midfielder.
And how do you think we stack up against our rivals now? Because obviously we only finished 2 points above Arsenal last season.
Yeah.
1 point behind Chelsea, miles off Man City and Liverpool. How close do you think we can get to those two? And how much ahead of Arsenal do you think we are, and are we ahead of Chelsea now?
Well, Chelsea are in total disarray. I mean, I said before the end of the season, I actually think Tuchel will be the first manager to go this season. Whether he walks or is pushed, you can see already there's like kind of a disconnect with the new owners, and he's not happy. So I think it's the start of the end for him. Where I've said I think we'll finish this season is I think we'll finish third, but I think we'll be third closer to second as opposed to third closer to fourth. So I see big progression from us. And as you say, if you look at it, this is without doubt, been the best summer we've had as a club. Best summer since I've been supporting Spurs.
And this is coming from you.
Obviously, this is coming from me. Like I've always said, when I criticise because I feel I have to, or there's a reason behind it. But that doesn't mean just because I'm so critical, I can't say well done when things are going well. This has been, look, like you said at the beginning of the show, both of you, the Gareth Bale money was completely pissed away ridiculously. And you look back at it, and AVB wanted Moutinho, he wanted the Hulk, as well as others, and obviously got none of those, and just got given players without any input himself. Whereas this time, we know Conte and Paratici have listened or have been heard. We have strengthened. We know where we needed areas, and like I said, I mean, I don't know how people can doubt it. To a degree, I know where people are doubting it because they want bigger names with the money that has come in. We should be getting bigger names, or could attract bigger names, shall I say? But when you're signing Richarlison, who isn't a guaranteed first starter, we all know that at £60 million, that's a huge show that okay, we're listening to Conte. That's big, and getting Basuma is huge. We needed strength in depth, and the fact that they were done before pre-season, or a majority, and we haven't finished yet. For me, that's the biggest piece of all of this, because now they're all going to be up to the standard Conte wants. Come next week, all right, Lenglet and Basuma might be a little bit behind because of obviously COVID, and then Longley not getting his permit. But a majority of his players are all going to be at the same fitness levels, have that pre-season together to bond, to understand the style of play, to know what they're doing, as opposed to what we normally have to deal with, which is players start coming in kind of now and trickling up until the window, and then it takes them months to get to where the manager needs them to be. So for me, the biggest indication on this window is the fact that these were all signed in before pre-season.
So the question is, are Spurs winning the transfer window?
Against our rivals, I mean, you mentioned Man City. Listen, with Man City getting Haaland, we all know what that player is going to be, and the other player that they've got. That you can't deny the strength that they have got now, the strength they already had. But the way I look at winning the window is how weak was the team last year, and where did it need building on? Well, if I do it in my kind of version, then we're most certainly winning the window. Most certainly, because you look at it when Conte said I had 12 and 13 players, and you just have to look at that Rangers bench yesterday. I did a thing when I was on Irishish doing the watch along. I brought up the bench from the first game of the season against Man City last season, and I brought up the bench against Rangers. Now, obviously, the friendly one had a lot more on it, but if you whistle that down to the 5 subs that you can use in a couple of squad additions, that bench is going to be a million times stronger than it was last season, and that's what we wanted: strength in depth. It's not just about the 11. You win this by having a great squad. And right, we all spoke about how De Bruyne was the only Man City player to play over 30 games. He was the only one. Everyone rotated. There was no, oh, I'm upset and no first team football. Oh, I'm pissed off, I won out. Apart from people like Jesus and Zinchenko, who were very sparingly used, these players are going to get game time. These players are going to get minutes, and this is why Conte gets paid the big bucks. Harry Redknapp once said when he was manager at Tottenham, when we got Champions League and started bringing in quite a few players, and they said, now you're in Champions League and playing football, how are you going to keep your players happy if they're not in the first team? And Harry Redknapp turned around and simply said, my job isn't to keep them happy, it's their job to keep me happy.
Absolutely.
But that's what it is. You want to play, you want to get first team football, listen to what Conte's doing, perform in training, and give yourself a chance. And that's what it comes down to. And with this squad going forward, we've all got to be ultra positive going into this season. We've got to be.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more, Brian. Couldn't agree more. But I think that is that. Thanks for coming on, Brian. Do you want to let
Always
people
a pleasure,
know?
boys.
Do you want to let people know some updates on the channel where they can find you?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of updates coming up. We just did a straight out Conte we aired yesterday. We've got our new show Everywhere You Go, where we're talking to fan clubs around the world so people know where they are and if they're over there on vacation or business, where they can go to, like Toronto Spurs we're actually doing Israel Spurs as well. And I might as well tell people about a special show we're doing Thursday now. It's probably going to come out Friday.
Again.
There you go. You two know what it's about. So we're doing a show called It's Happened Again, because once again, I've done something stupid. We all know that I put a bet on with Ben on We Are Tottenham TV, and I have now got a tattoo of We Are Tottenham TV on this shoulder. When I put a bet on with Brian Island that we wouldn't get top 4. Well, we did, and not tomorrow, Thursday, Tottenham on tour is getting tattooed on this shoulder. So that's coming out on Friday, but also we're going to end it at the Scotland Yard, because Thursday's a very special day for me. It's my 14 years of sobriety. So we're going to end the day off there. But yeah, there's going to be a big video coming out. It's happened again. And I'm now going to say live on the biggest YouTube Tottenham channel, there will be no more tattoo bets from Daigle.
I would say stop the tattoo bets, but every time you make one, something great happens. So it's like you should do one for Tottenham to win the league. You have to do one.
Simeon, fair, but with that, what I have said is I said after I got this, any trophy that Conte wins, as it's Conte that got me this tattoo, I will get the trophy around this tattoo. So that's part of an ongoing bet. So if he wins the trophy, there will be a trophy going around your.
So we're
logo.
winning the lot next season then.
Then I best get my arm ready.
Love it.
All right, big up. Everyone go and subscribe to Tottenham on Tour, the brilliant channel where you can see this lovely face more often. But Brian, thank you so much for coming on today.
Ben Sim, do you want to announce the other show that's going to be happening?
Be my guest, Brian. You take it away, my friend.
Okay, so obviously come in every Friday from Toronto, Canada, will be the Late Spurs show from North America on We Are Tottenham TV, hosted by myself and Brian Island, which is basically going to be like this show, but obviously there's loads of people around the world that right now it's stupid o'clock in the morning, whether it be on the west coast of America and Canada or back in Australia or whatever. So we wanted to give you guys a show in the evening that you can call in and be a part of in the evening. So the first show will be next Friday after the Arsenal game. And we will hopefully be starting the show laughing at Arsenal and also laughing at the first few episodes of Arsenal All or Nothing. Absolutely. So a new show coming to We Are Tottenham TV.
Brilliant
Everyone
stuff.
Get ready.
I cannot wait for it. I really cannot wait. But Brian, thanks for coming on today. Great chat.
Always a pleasure. Big
we'll
up,
speak
everyone.
To you soon.
You will do. See you later, boys.
See you in a bit.
Bye-bye.
There was another super chat here from Awesome Or saying the target level for both Man City and Liverpool managers has got to be who wins the treble first, Champions League, Premier League and FA Cup or Carabao Cup. What is Conte's target?
Not to win the treble just yet. just to get one trophy, I think. I think he's looking at the league, but I think he's looking at it. Not to say that he's going to be devastated if we don't win it, but I honestly think that's his target, to try and win the league.
The target has got to be just to get as close as you can to those two teams.
Yeah,
to bridge the gap as much as you can. That's got to be the target.
But I honestly think he's going to the season, Conte, trying to win the league. I honestly think that. That's why I think his head's at. Not to say that if we don't win the league, he's going to be disheartened by that, as long as we're closing the gap. But I think that's his target in the beginning of the season.
Harry.
That's what I think. That's his character.
Yeah,
and
that
that's
is
what
his
he
character.
said.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Let's go to our next guest, and I think it's probably going to have to be our last caller of the day. And it's it's KPV. And it's
Hello
live.
again.
How's it going,
And
man?
it's live. Back again.
Everything good?
Yep, everything good, lad. Everything good.
Are Spurs winning the transfer window? Tell me.
You know the answer to that. Come on. Yes, we are. But they spent 121 as I checked, but we've only spent 105. But we just need, like, Zaniolo. I think, like you said, we don't have a problem meeting that, what, £70 release clause. I don't have a problem with it. If we can get him in, then we're the biggest spenders. Like, just hurry up and get the job done. I'm not waiting any longer. Get it done. I don't
With,
want to
with,
wait.
with the business that we've done already, Carl, what are you looking at for next season? What do you think that we should be achieving?
Um, as the DJ said, Brian Dagenham, I say the Premier League. Like, that's what the boss wants, the whole squad wants. Yeah, for me, I say the Premier League because I'm getting sick and tired of our North London rivals having a laugh at saying, "No, we haven't won it." Like, seriously, when was the last time they won it? Shout out to Mr. Wenger. Like, yeah, look at how that turned out. That one came to an end. Like, I'm getting sick of it. I want the Premier League, and that's this season. That's what I
But
think we should be
can we actually
achieving.
do that when you're looking at Man City? You know, they were so far ahead of us last season. Now they've added Haaland to that. Now they've added Calvin Phillips to that. Is that a realistic target for you?
Of course it is. Come on, like you saw the super chat. Haaland will be up half a season because he does have an injury record. Like he was out, but like yeah, like we can still challenge for it. Like that's what I want. And but as you said, like I don't know if we can, but we can still challenge. Like we didn't lose to City or Liverpool. The others did, but we were the only team that didn't lose to the top two. Yeah, we took six off City, two off Liverpool. That's eight in total. But like, why can't we? Like, yeah, I just want to win the league, and then I can laugh. Then we can all have a laugh at the Woolwich, saying that, oh, we won the league. You haven't won it since when? But yeah, why not? Would you guys want it? I know the whole fans want it. Would you want it?
Who wouldn't want to win the league, Carl? Who wouldn't want to win the league?
Who wouldn't want to win it? I do. Then oh then you know what the plan is for when we win it.
What's the plan?
You're I'm coming with you three, you, and maybe go out for a little pint or something and have a party. Oh, woo, get rid of that. Is that me? Not that clap off. Not again.
I think,
Yeah,
yeah, we'll definitely have a party if
yeah,
we win the league. That's for sure. But who are you
yeah.
most looking forward to seeing next season? What player? What signing? New signing?
Perisic, gotta be man. He's he's brilliant. I think he's the best. Well, he can play right wing back and can play midfield, but I'm most looking forward to seeing him. He can cross. He's he won the Bundesliga and Champions League in the same time. Yeah, 2 years ago. So as you know, Champions League is for Croatians only, and so. But yeah, I'm most looking forward to seeing him. And I have an announcement to make.
Oh, go
Oh,
on.
here we go.
As you know, well, you don't know, but next Saturday I'm going to Chelmsford Racing Centre to see Steps.
You're going where? Sorry.
Chelmsford Racing Centre, you know where the horses race normally.
Yeah.
Chelmsford. I'm going
What,
to see Steps. So I
Steps.
won't. Yeah, I'm going to see them. I've seen them before, so um, I won't be watching the Spurs game, but I'll check the score, and I want revenge against Southampton because those fans where I saw the game were all laughing when Bergwijn was offside. But
What was
enjoy
that?
while you can.
What was the most famous Steps song? Can't remember.
Is that you're
Um,
going to see the band? You're going to see the band Steps, the
correct.
group.
The band. I've seen them already.
Tragedy. No, was that not Steps?
No, that wasn't
Yeah, that
Steps,
was
was it?
Step.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tragedy.
Oh, Ben, you cheeky sod. And I'm
When he
not
leaves
glad
a
you're
girl, he
leaving,
got
mate.
no soul. It's
Oh,
tragedy.
Ben, I'm not glad you're leaving, mate. I don't know where you got that. You're Grant Mitchell, mate. You lost him, someone. Well, peace out, boys. Peace out.
Nice one, Carl.
See you later, Carl. Good to see you, my friend, and have a good time at Steps.
Have a good one. Enjoy the Roman game, man. Let's smash them. They've got Dybala and Abraham, but sorry, Jose. It's time for you to lose. See ya.
Absolutely. See you later,
Peace
mate.
out, man.
See you, Carl.
See ya, mate. All right.
Big up. Always, always good fun getting Carl on the channel. That's for sure. We have another guest, I believe.
We're running
waiting.
out of time, so we'll just
We
get
are
through it.
running out of time, so we're going to have to make this a quick one. But let's bring on Hassan. Hassan, how you doing, brother?
Oh, can you hear?
Good, how are you guys?
Oh, yeah, you can.
Yeah, all good, mate. All good.
Yeah, all good. I'm here.
Your audio's a bit muffly, but we'll try and make it work. So are Spurs winning the transfer window, Hassan?
I think we've done what we've had to. We definitely improved the squad
There's a
depth.
really
We've got
big
players
lag.
in that. Yeah, I can see that as well. Should I try to leave and come back?
You can, but we are running out of time.
You have to do it very quickly.
So you're going to have to be very quick
Okay, I'll
if we're
try
going to do
quickly.
that.
Try quickly.
All right, we'll try and get back on in a sec. See some of these comments. One sec.
A lot of love for KBP.
Yeah, enjoy Steps,
coming in.
KPV, he said, people are saying. John Thompson says, Newcastle are a tasty side. That Joel Linton looks good. Are you surprised by Newcastle's kind of lack of activity so far?
I am a little bit. I mean, but they have brought in quality players in Sven Botman, Nick Pope. But I expected them to bring in more by now, that's for sure. I thought they were going to be super active this window.
I guess they're going for quality, not quantity at the
which
moment,
is
aren't they?
fairly smart move. So I think that Newcastle are going to have a really good season next year regardless. I mean, when you look at the way Eddie Howe turned them around at the back end of last season, they were on amazing form second half, last few months of the season. And I think they're going to take that form into this season.
Do you think they're a threat to top six?
I think they get Conference League next season.
Conference League 7th,
Yeah.
above West Ham.
I think they'll be fighting West Ham for that position. I'm not sure if they'll actually get it or not, but I think that's the kind of level they're at. Don't know what you think.
Yeah, at the moment, I think they're going slow and steady, aren't they? In terms of okay.
What?
The Assassinator said he's been waiting for over an hour, but I thought this was the Assassinator, but it's not.
Is there someone waiting in the back?
No, you can't see him. We can't see you, the Assassinator.
Well, unfortunately, anyway, we
do have to cut it
completely
short.
run out of time. So we're going to have to take Hassan's call, a very short one, and then we're going to have to end the stream, unfortunately. But let's bring on Hassan. Let's see if it's any better. Hassan.
Hey guys.
That's better, I think.
Yeah, I think that is better. So talk to me. Have Spurs won, or are Spurs winning the transfer window right now?
I think we're up there. I think we've done a good thing in increasing squad depth. I think we've got players who will definitely improve our starting 11, like Basuma, like Perisic. I think to spend so much money on a backup like Richarlison for rotation, I think is great as well. And just a little thing on Longley, because I think Longley and Spence are probably the two signings which have, I guess, divided the fan base the most. I know you look at FB Ref a lot on stats when you compare people. If you look at Bastoni's stats last season compared to Longley's stats, and this in mind that Longley had a really poor season last season, a lot of his stats are better than Bastoni. on the ball, and even defensively. Pressures, Longley's ahead of him, tackles, he's ahead of him. So obviously Bastioni's younger, he's got a higher ceiling, and there's the eye test that goes with it. But there's not as big of a gap as some people are making out to be.
You
In
got to
Longley
also
and compared
take
to other
into account,
defenders.
Hassan, the style of plays of the two teams that they were
Yeah.
playing in, and also the leagues that they were playing in as well.
That's true as well. And I think, people are saying how good Dyer and Davies have become under Conte. I think a big part of that is because we play in a back three. If we're playing in that back four, whoever it is, Dyer or Davies, you only have one other defender with them. In a back three, you have the two other defenders, the wing backs, the two midfielders in front of you, so you get a lot more defensive cover. So I think Longley can be a real asset for us this season. So I'm honestly not too fussed about him. I still think we need another centre back for cover with Dyer. But yeah, other than that, I think we've done really well.
Yeah, do you understand though if Spurs fans' frustrations with maybe aiming for higher quality players or players that maybe would have to be in the Champions League to get, or are you satisfied with the quality of players you brought in?
Look, I think a majority of people don't look at like various reports that come out on transfers. They just see Sky Sports News or Fabrizio Romano, and that's what they see. But like, if you look at how Spurs started, they went for Bastoni, they went for Guardiola. Those were their top left centre back targets. Couldn't get them. There were talks about they were looking at Martinez, but he wasn't going to come either. So they were looking at top targets for a majority of positions. I think right wing back was the only target, ironically, that we weren't looking at some sort of high level profile player. So I think it's difficult for people to simply just say that that people we're looking at aren't good enough, because we looked at good people, but at the end of the day, we just couldn't get them. And maybe next summer we will. But there was a clear plan on what we wanted and what Conte wanted, and we went out to get that. And I think you can't fault how we moved in the transfer window. Of course, there's always going to be better options than what we've got, but it's one transfer window. We need multiple transfer windows like this to get to the level of Manchester City and Liverpool.
All right.
Yeah,
we
Hassan, unfortunately, that's all we're going to have time for today
Okay.
because
Okay.
we need to go. But thank you so much for coming on. Hopefully, we'll get to speak to you very soon. And I'm very sorry for anyone else that's been waiting that haven't been able to come on today. But Hassan, big up and thanks for coming on.
No worries. Coming Spurs.
Nice
Come
one.
on.
See you soon.
Big up. Once again, apologies for everyone that couldn't get on today, but we will try and get you on very, very soon. Looking forward, as in 2 days, we fly out to the next pre-season tour in Israel. Looking forward to that. We'll be on the search for Jose Mourinho and get the real answer of what happened to him at Tottenham Hotspur. But nah, I'm kidding. But thanks everyone for joining us today. Really good stream. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always,
Come on, you Spurs.
Spurs.